Welcome to the Small Business Breakthrough Series, where every week we're interviewing small business guests. But this week we've got a twist. We're bringing a small business owner on, but instead of it directly supporting small business owners, we're learning about a small business owner journey in one of the most challenging areas. So this week we take a different approach. Because small business owners can come from anywhere and of any size. And this week we bring on James Corwin, who is a wildlife artist building a business selling his oil paintings globally. Has some amazing work, and we're going to dive into the conversation today to learn how you can improve your small business by putting art inside of your business. If you have a retail place or a doctor's office or any sort of a space where you can hang art, or should say, and we're going to also learn about the difficulties that James has gone through in building an artist's small business, because it is one of the most difficult areas to build. James, welcome to the podcast. It's such a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you, Jason. It's wonderful to be here.
And I'll let the cat out right here just to make sure that we're all safe. We're fairly close to each other. We're only about 45 minutes apart.
I know.
I really wanted to get this podcast done in person, but other challenges were not really set up for it. And being Montanans, I love the fact that we are portraying our backgrounds with grizzlies and your wonderful bison. That is probably one of my favorites of your prints, of your paintings, as I've went through those. But let's dive in. Can you give us just that introduction to what your business is and what
Sure.
what inspired you to decide to become an artist in business?
Sure. Yeah, I'm a wildlife artist. I've been painting professionally full time for 10 years. And I first started painting when I was a senior in high school. I took an art class and didn't really know I could do art until those last couple semesters of high school, and got an art scholarship that brought me to Montana State University to continue studying art. And there for the 4 years, I painted in my dorm room pretty consistently and started selling my little paintings on Facebook for 20 bucks a piece, and going to farmers markets in the summer and setting up a table with a bunch of little paintings and prints. And by the time I graduated in, when was it, 2014, I was able to just go into painting full time, albeit still very much living under my means at the time, but I could make it work and have been just building the business, the brand, and the collector base since.
Tell what your artistry has been displayed. I've seen it in various small businesses around Western Montana for sure. Definitely down through the Bitterroot where I'm at. And um, what when a small business owner maybe either whether they commission a piece from you or they decide to purchase a piece from you, and we can dive into the difference in the terminology for the listeners out there as to what it means to commission a piece versus just purchase. What when they come to you and they say, I really like this piece, or I want to commission a piece with you, what's going through their heads? What are they trying to do with this art?
Sure. I am working on commissions pretty much all the time, and also creating new paintings in between commissions. And specifically, how commissions work is a client will come to me with an idea, whether it's specific or sometimes pretty general, like they just want a painting of a horse for their living room. And so then together we come up with an idea of what that horse is doing. Do you want one horse or a herd of horses? And what's the time of day? So we start to create an idea. I create a mock up on Photoshop, a reference image, and send it to them. They can review it, make any changes. And once they approve that image, that's what I use to recreate the painting on canvas. And I'm sending them pictures along the way of the painting process. So it's not a surprise at the end, and they can get something specific. Whereas, for example, this bison is a painting that I conceived of the idea and created it and put it forward into the marketplace and to my collectors and sold it a day later to one of my collectors. So there's also interest in just the paintings and the ideas that I do as well. And if it doesn't sell to one of my collectors, then I have any number of galleries that represent me from the West Coast to the East Coast, north to south. And then I'll send it to the gallery, and then it will hopefully sell to a new collector.
The rule in business is it takes 10 years to hit that, to become an expert, to become the thing. And you're 10 years into this business. What transpired as you went from that dorm room selling stuff on, I think you said Facebook, and selling stuff on in farmers markets? What made you decide that you're like, okay, now I want to go sell this in galleries, or I want to try to expand? What were the thought process, or what were the events that happened?
Yes, I always compare, and I'm sure other business owners have heard this analogy before, but it's almost a flywheel effect in growing the art business. So every year gets a little better. Say in the first couple of years, I just sell paintings to 10 new people. Then those 10 new people might buy something again from me the second year. And then I add 20 new people. So now I'm at 30 by the second year. And over those 10 years, I'm building my client base and my interest around my art, which I think of artists as a brand. And as I believe I've also gotten better in painting over the 10 years. My artwork is certainly better. And a couple things that can help with growing the business is obviously increasing the prices of the artwork, but it helps that the artwork has certainly gotten better. But as the demand has increased over those 10 years, I've been able to raise my prices considerably, and they continue to go up, which I think is great for anyone who has invested in my artwork in the past or is currently investing in it, because it continues to go up based on the demand. And also, that collector base now is over 10,000 people who
Oh,
have bought art from me over the past years. And typically they buy something again, whether it's the next year or within 3 years. So that's that flywheel and compounding effect. The longer you stay in the game, the better it gets every year.
yeah, that's definitely a very good analogy. Hey, real quick, did you know that most small businesses don't actually achieve their breakthrough? And it's not because you don't care. It's all because you're trying to do it alone. That's why I created the Momentum Community, is to help you change that. I want to see you achieve the breakthrough that you've been waiting for. It's where we committed entrepreneurs come and get focused, get accountable, and finally build a business and life that you are meant for. If you want to learn more, click the link in the description below and enjoy the rest of the episode. For your artwork, are you selling only original pieces, or are you doing prints along with original pieces?
Yes, prints as well, which has been a great pillar of the business. I'll create an original like the one behind me, but then if it, not all originals become prints, but if I feel like there's enough interest in the image, then I'll create a limited edition print run. And usually that varies between just 95 or 250 total. So still very limited, but it allows collectors and people to get into that painting, that idea at a much lower price point than the original. This one is 13,000, but a print the same size starts only at $435. So the prints have been a wonderful asset to the business because I feel like I can create the idea, but then I still have the IP and ability to generate more revenues from that painting idea. When I'm conceiving of a new idea, I often have will this be good for a print run? Because if I create this painting, it's now could be worth over $100,000 in revenue to me.
That's a great way to think about things and to be able to wonder if is it just a one fixed thing or are you able to produce continuous revenue even if it's on a limited basis, but you at least then understand the finiteness of those runs and can continue to do. How this is more of a curiosity question for me. When you're working on a painting, what's the time frame? So if I came up with an idea and I commissioned you to do a piece, what's the turnaround time frame?
Sure. I get asked this question a lot, and it varies on how big the painting is and how complex the subject matter is, of course. But typically, paintings don't really take me more than 2 weeks. I could paint this one, for example, took me a week to do. And I know a lot of people are like, what? Only a week? That's so fast. I thought that would take you like months to do. And I think that's the 10 years also on my side of literally painting almost every single day for 10 years. I start to speed up through proficiency. But but yeah, I was working on a commission for a client that I finished up just last March, or sorry, last month, March. And I've been working on that since October. And that was a very complex piece of cutthroat trout swimming underwater in a riverbed stream. And then you have the water line dividing the canvas, and then above the land with the mountains and cliffs and trees and a fly fisherman. And yeah, so there was a lot of components to piece together to conceive of this idea, which was their idea, and even going on location in Glacier Park to get above and below water pictures. So I had some references there, and so yeah, that sometimes they do take longer.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you see in people's eyes when they go through your galleries?
Yes, it is always a very enjoyable experience for me to see the reaction that a person has to my artwork. I've seen people move to tears numerous times, and that's always an incredible compliment because when I'm creating an idea, the very first thing I'm trying to conceive of is what feeling I want the viewer to feel. And so when somebody walks into the gallery and feels that emotion, whatever that is that I want them to feel, then I know I've done my job. And I think that's also the beauty of what art can do for people, just seeing it or owning it in their home. I collect original artwork myself, and I feel that from other artists' work. So I know it's real. I obviously feel it from my own work, but that's, I think, the joy of owning artwork too, is it just never gets old. Looking at it in the home, it just always reinvents itself and keeps an emotion within you alive.
Yeah, that's
It's magical.
it is. It's very much my wife and I have it's kind of our get together story revolves around a fairly large Thomas Kincaid piece
Oh, cool.
that I bought her for Christmas before we were dating, but it was before we
Mhm.
were engaged, and it hangs on the wall and it's a favorite piece. We actually have many of them now, but Some
Awesome.
of them not even okay, too many. We don't have enough walls at the moment.
Sure.
But the James, it has been a great conversation to learn more about the passion behind artwork, the passion behind the challenges of going through. What would you say has been your biggest challenge in building your artist business?
Yes, time. I have employees and also have a gallery that I own and run. And I feel like anytime I add more employees or more aspects to the business, it pulls me away from the easel. And so it's a constant juggle of trying to offload business and tasks to employees, but so that I can buy more time at the easel. But I'm still trying to figure that out because that is a challenge. However, because my most valuable time is time spent creating artwork. But yeah, so that's an ongoing challenge that I'm always working with.
What's one part of owning the business that has brought you joy and fulfillment?
Sure. One of them being the emotion, seeing the connection of the artwork to the client, that it's always rewarding because I'm here alone in the studio creating this painting, and to be able to then get it out and share it with people and see their reactions, that's truly rewarding and fulfilling. And that's what I think keeps me going, is being able to create that connection between art and viewer.
Excellent. The tradition on the podcast on the Small Business Breakthrough, as we have done in every episode, is we have a lightning round that we run through. It's 5 or 6 quick hitting questions as we wrap up the conversation here. Are you ready to jump in?
Sure, let's do it.
Okay. First question is coffee or tea?
Coffee. I love it.
How about cats or dogs?
Cats. Have one.
There you go. If you could grab only one weapon or item during a zombie apocalypse, what would it be?
Wait, webinar?
Weapon or item?
Oh, weapon item. That's a good idea. Oh, it's supposed to be a lightning round. I think that it's probably not practical at all, but I just think it would be really cool to be an archer. So
I-
but I would run out of arrows so fast and I would be dead.
there you go. I love it. I love it. How about a favorite quote or phrase that you think about often?
It is what it is. I say that to myself all the time when something bad happens, which seems to happen all the time. I'm like, there's nothing I can do. It is what it is. So the best thing I can do is just react appropriately
I
and
love
deal
it.
with it. It is
Love
what
it.
it is.
How about a book that has influenced your life the most?
Oh, wow. There are so many. I read business books every morning. Right now, I'm reading books by Alex Ramosi
Yep.
on his $100 million leads, and the other one, $100 million offers, I think
Yep.
is what it's called. Yeah. They've been great.
Yeah, they are great books. They're located off screen in the lower right hand corner down here because they're too big to
Fantastic.
fit on, they're too tall to fit on the shelf. That's the only problem.
They are good books.
How about what's the biggest obstacle you've ever had to overcome and one lesson you have learned from it?
Opening a second gallery in Aspen, Colorado, and running that from afar. It was a great test. I always wanted to open and run another gallery outside my state, but then learned that it was too much to handle at the time, and ran it for a year and then decided this wasn't what I wanted to do. So I learned a lot of things from it, but learned that I'm okay with one
That's
and
amazing.
one that's close by.
Yeah, definitely. What the for the business owners that are listening out there, as James was talking about that, sometimes you make a decision and you go with it for the year and then you decide that wasn't the right decision. And it's okay to go back on that and make a different decision. It's okay to change directions and change course. what we call the sunk cost fallacy is it was something you tried, it was something, it didn't
I'm
work.
all for trying.
Yep.
I'd rather do than wonder.
Absolutely. James, has been such a great conversation. As we wrap up things here, how can our listeners reach out to you if they want to learn more about your artwork or just have a conversation with James?
You can visit my website, which is jamescorwin.com, or just Google my name. And you can find me on Instagram as well. James Corwin is the handle, and Facebook is James Corwin as well. So, yeah, you just pop in that name in Google search, and a whole bunch of art and links will pop up.
Yes, absolutely. As we wrap up the podcast here, it's been a fantastic time to have James on and hear about it. If you liked this format, I'd love to hear it in the comments. This is a different format than we've gone before, where we're interviewing outside of the small business owners that support small business owners, but still got great insights by another small business owner. Let me know in the comments if that's what you want to hear. If you want to hear more podcasts, check out the playlist located up here. And we want to thank James. Check out his website, jamescorwin.com, and look at his artwork. It is truly inspiring for what he has created and with these canvases. And maybe you find something that you want to reach out and either get your own piece made or purchase something directly from him or one of the galleries that he is featured in across the country. And he has those listed on his website. So, all the listeners out there, until next time.